Hey, good evening, everyone. This is Robert Orfino with Mr. Texas Real Estate. This is the Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Hey, I want to introduce you, our good friend Jenefer Hernandes from Legacy Mutual Mortgage is here with me. And we're going to have a little fun talking about the market a little bit. And then I always like to know, because I'm... First, Jenefer, why don't you say hello and just give us your contact information. Let's just get that right out of the way.
Yeah, sure. Jenefer Hernandez, Legacy Mutual Mortgage, loanwithjen.com is my website, social media handles, loanwithjen, Jen.com.
Excellent.
Yeah, easy.
So yesterday, I'll tell you an experience. I felt like I was a true Texan. I had a Diet Dr. Pepper in my hand. I was on a single lane highway, back road in a county road in a highway.
Cool.
And I was passing a liquid nitrogen truck doing 85 miles an hour while I'm holding on my doctor. I was like, hey, this is, and I was listening to AC/DC, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm now part of Texas there.
The only thing missing was stopping at a Whataburger or a Dairy Queen.
Well, Buc-ee's was my next stop.
Oh, there you go.
So I'm like, hey, I'm okay now. This is just like everyone else.
That's right. Awesome.
But I'm always interested in the connections to the market, to the community, and you're pretty much a lifetime Houstonian.
Yeah, born and raised in Houston.
Nice.
Yep.
What high school did you go to?
I went to Lee High School.
Okay.
Well, I went to St. Agnes for a year, private Catholic school, and then finished it at Lee. Yeah.
Excellent. And do you remember Astroland?
I do. I remember it was
Fond
called, yep, it was called Astro World.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember parking over in the Dome parking lot, and there was a little trolley that took you over this little bridge over
Nice.
610. And I remember, oh yeah, every summer we were there with, friends. And back then, I mean, we were 10, but our parents dropped us off. I mean, back then it was, what could go wrong at Astroworld? Like nothing.
What was your favorite thing to do there? Do you remember?
I liked the bamboo shoot thing because it's so hot, that the bamboo, you go down in the bamboo and the water comes up and gets you wet. And that was fun. And I liked those cars. There were these old timey car things and you used to drive them. I liked that one.
Nice.
Yeah, it was fun.
I never experienced it, but I'm a big theme park guy, so I've done all the research and seen the old 8mm film from there.
Cyclone and oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. I was really surprised when they closed it down. And I mean, the Dome, every time I see the Dome, God, we used to go to the Oilers games.
Oilers fan, yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was, Oilers and Astros. My dad was huge fan. So we always went to those games as a family. So I remember that. But good memories on the Dome. And I don't know what they're going to do with it. It's just sitting there. And it's just such an iconic part of Houston. So I guess that's why they can't get rid of it.
Well, we're talking about real estate, in general here. And at some point, you will always find the highest and best use of the land, right? Mm-hmm. And at some point, that will be converted into something.
It'll be something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whether it's a museum, an aquarium, something that along that line.
A museum could be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like Houston history. Yeah.
Yep.
Could be cool.
All right. Well, we'll come back to a little bit of nostalgia, but just real quick, tell us what we see teaser rates everywhere. I can't stop getting them, right? But me and my wife, we do well. Our FICO is going to be between 700 and 720, so not quite at the type tier because I keep using my personal credit cards for my business. You know how it is.
Still not bad.
Yep. So what am I looking at if I want to do a refi?
On a primary residence, on a refi, 30-year fixed is, high twos. Two, maybe three, just depending on that credit score.
Sure.
And no points. I mean, there's lower rates. People, I mean, I just tell people, hey, you can have any rate you want. Just how much you're willing to pay for it.
Sure. So they're allowing you to buy down.
You can buy down. You can probably buy down to low twos probably, but it's super expensive, like 2-3 points.
Okay, so when I first started doing this, I didn't understand anything we would have just said there. So if the rate is 3% and I want to buy it down to 2.5%, it would be 2 points, 3 points?
It'd probably be 1.5 points probably,
Okay.
Times, disclaimer, this is off the top of my head.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm
We're
not,
just spitballing here.
But, yeah, probably, 1.5 points. So let's say it's a $100,000 loan. 1.5 points is $1,500.
Gotcha.
So if it's 2 points, it's $2,000. 2% times 1,000. That times 100,000.
Yep.
Yeah.
And do you have a lot of folks that do buy down the rate, or is it just too? It's just too cheap, not even to think. About it.
It's interesting. I've had some clients this year. I had one client that had a ton of equity in his house. It was a rental, actually, and I showed him a whole spreadsheet side by side of all these points, and I thought he'd never go for the 3-point option. Or maybe it was 2.5 points. He was all about monthly payment. He said, I don't really care. It's just equity out there. That's just what I was pretty floored about it, but he was all about it. He's like, yep, I'm going to take the 2.5% option. I was like, all right, well, there you go.
Got it.
No problem.
Maybe not over 700. Maybe if I'm floating in that 650 to 680 FICO score. And is it a FICO score or the W-2? What's the driving factor on some of these?
The FICO score is really the entry point. That's the gatekeeper.
So let's say 650.
If you don't have the FICO, but then equity kind of erases the FICO. Like if you've got 35+% equity, the FICO score becomes less and less important.
Gotcha.
As far as being a rate hit.
Sure.
So yeah, 650. This is all assuming that it's 20% equity, but 650, you're probably looking at similar rate, just more points. Or, really, there's this hub right now of 3 to 3.5% where we'll get pricing at 3.5%, and then we won't get the next price until 3.1%. Like, no coupons are selling at 3.2, 3.3. It's weird. It's the weirdest thing ever. So when I expand the pricing to look at it, it's like, let's say 3.5% is the least point option, and let's say it's 0.625. But then for one point, which is not a very big jump, you go down to 3. Like you get a half a. It's just weird. It's weird. So just a quick 101 on rates, because since you asked about it.
Yeah.
Every rate is available. There's either a cost or a rebate.
Got it.
So then there becomes a ceiling to where, like, I can't charge you 5% and give you back thousands of dollars towards your closing costs, because no one's buying those coupons. So they just don't exist. So there is a ceiling and a floor to what the market will tolerate. Like, you can't buy down to 1%. Like, you just can't.
Got it.
Like 1% interest rate. It just doesn't exist.
But to button that up, so if I was doing a refi, or if I was doing a new purchase, moving up, moving down, I should at least explore the extra point.
Yeah, I usually look at one. And then when I show them the math, sometimes the 1%, if the 1 point buys you more than a quarter, which is 0.25, so a 1% fee normally in the old days pretty consistently buys you a quarter or 0.25 in rate. It's worth it if you live there more than 5 years.
Got it.
But right now, the 1% fee, 1% of the loan amount fee, is buying this larger. Sometimes you're jumping 0.5%. It makes more sense. Like, there's a shorter recoup time. I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't you do that? They're like, all right.
Excellent.
So it just depends.
Hey, we're going to come back from the break here. We're going to talk more with Lynn. Jenefer here from Legacy Mutual Mortgage. This is Robert, and this is the Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Hey, guys, Robert here with Jenefer Hernandes from Legacy Mutual Mortgage. Loanwithjen.com, 1NJEN.com. She is hands down our best retail mortgage person that we know. She is our go-to person for all our questions. Very, very knowledgeable and super, super helpful. I know a couple of people from our office have had conversations with you. You set them up with a little plan so they're moving forward.
Yeah.
So we're really, really grateful for all the help that you do for us.
Sure. My pleasure.
But we're talking about relocations, which is big. And, I talked to a lot of people. So I have a lot of friends in California. I just got a phone with a buddy of mine from Long Beach. And he said, "What's it like out there? Is it all guns and everything like that?" I was like, "Yeah, there's definitely a gun culture here. That's you can't avoid that. It's kind of everywhere, a lot bigger." Mm-hmm. I was like, "But here's the thing. However many weed shops you have in Southern California, that's how many gun shops we have in Houston,
right?
That's so it's just the culture. But for the most part, they're coming here because it's cheaper, right?
Yeah, cost of living.
I've said it over and over, and I'll describe it this way: born and raised in New Jersey. I've lived in L.A. and now I live in Houston. In L.A., if you get a flat tire, someone will tell you how horrible it is that you got a flat tire, and then tell you their story about them getting a flat tire, and they won't help you fix the tire. In New York, New Jersey, someone will get out of their car to help you fix the tire, and they'll do nothing but curse you out while they're helping you fix the tire. Here in Texas, the people will both feel bad for you and help you fix the flat tire. That's how I describe the community that I'm in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's, but yeah, you're seeing a lot of folks come out.
Southern hospitality.
And the cooking. So that's,
yeah,
that's another big thing.
No diets here.
No, not at all. Where's your go-to barbecue place here in Houston?
I'm not a direct fan of any of them. They're all good. Mm-hmm. So Papa's barbecue is always great. Well, it used to be Luther's way back when. That's dating myself. But the Spring Creek barbecue, they're just all good.
Gotcha.
I've never been to a barbecue place and I'm like, oh, well, that was horrible. Like, never. They're all good.
Have you been down to the turkey leg guy I keep hearing about?
No, where's that?
There's some sort of turkey leg guy down near Pearland.
Oh,
and
like he
sells,
does it out of his backyard
just
or what?
Grilled turkey legs, yes.
Oh, cool.
You got to come with us. Or if I get them, I'll bring them back.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Well, get them here to the parking lot when y'all start having your parties.
Yeah, absolutely.
Catered from the. Have you ever fried a turkey before?
I have not. No, I've not experienced
That's a big Texas
that.
thing. Yeah.
Jason says he's done it a number of times.
Have you had a chicken fried steak?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's one of my favorite things to have with eggs now.
There you go.
Yeah, so big fan of that.
There you go.
Never ever had biscuits and gravy with my eggs.
Oh, you got to do it right before nap time, because that's what's going to happen. Like, forget for breakfast, you'll be asleep the rest of the day. You got to do it like 4:00 in the afternoon.
I made my first about a month ago. I took pictures and everything, and yeah, it put me out. It absolutely put me out. Oh
yeah, it is. It is something else. Yeah, that for me, that's like a once a year type event.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm like,
I won't do biscuits and gravy. Yeah,
put that back there. We're gonna take a break from that. Mm-hmm. So you've seen lots of changes in Houston, right?
Yes.
What is the biggest, as far as real estate, other than the price? Have you seen like just the developments that have gone fast? Have you seen ups and downs on certain communities?
I think overall, just the expansion. I mean, you have to remember, I remember, my memories as a child go back to, where I can really vividly remember was like, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade,
sure,
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where you really can remember. And I remember my mom driving me to a friend's house in the boonies, which was Highway 6.
Oh.
And like, we're talking, like I grew up in Briar Grove Park, mm-hmm. and on the other side, which it was called West Belt South, and now it's Beltway 8, it was a 2-lane highway, mm-hmm. one each side, and we had to walk in a pack together and like super hold hands because we were gonna, people were like going at a gazillion miles an hour. But like that, the other side of that was the boonies. Like anyone who lived out there was like, it was like they live in a farm or whatever. Like, so to see where really now the center of Houston is almost as if it was Highway 6,
right.
I feel like. And to see the freeways develop and, I was driving on 99 the other day towards Woodlands.
Autobahn.
From from kind of I-10 that way.
I love that.
And I crossed, and I go past Bridgeland, and Bridgeland has these two main exits, and then like 5 minutes later, you see a Bridgeland statue thing with, the little bridge looking thing on the left-hand side, and I'm like, okay, that's a bunch of empty land over there. Like,
It's coming.
But it's ginormous, and I'm like, oh my God. So the thing that I think how that has to do with real estate is I did have a call a couple weeks ago from someone from California who's looking where they're going to live. And Texas is one of the places. And they said, why is real estate so cheap down there? Should I be worried? Like, I don't know that I'm like, well, the reason it keeps staying in check, and it has on average 3 to 4% a year. Okay.
Yeah.
There's pockets that are higher. Sure. But for the most part, it's a healthy increase. And the reason is because of the land. The new builders keep the market in check. And there's so much land out there. And they really help keep a healthy balance in the market to where you can just keep expanding. And I think we were talking maybe before we got on about how Houston, Austin, and San Antonio, we were joking that one day it might just be one big, huge metroplex.
That's right.
Because to drive an hour in Houston anymore is nothing. I mean, I mean,
I come across a lot of spoiled people here where they're like,
30 minutes. I'm like,
I'm like,
you got to be kidding me. Like 30 minutes. Like you could be in the city towards like in the Galleria area.
Yeah.
And like right now with holiday time, well, people aren't going to the mall as much as they were, but like you could be in a major traffic jam for 30 minutes going 3 blocks.
Yep.
So it's like, I'd rather be on the highway going to Galveston, like.
Right. Well, I live up in Cypress. It's pretty easy exit once you get past
30, 45 minutes is just nothing anymore.
I read a study once that 30 minutes is the perfect commute because it lets your brain shift out of work mode.
It really does. Yeah.
So, and we don't want to carry that too much of that home.
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and give us a plug again? How do we get in touch with you?
All my social media handles, website, everything is loanwithjen.com. LOANWITHJEN.
And you have some educational videos out there. I know you run some stuff.
Yes. Thanks for asking. I do have my main YouTube channel is Loan with Jen.
That's great.
I think I've got like 120 videos on there maybe.
Wow, that's great.
The girl's getting up.
Yeah, there you go.
I might get my first $19 check soon. I'm wondering how I'm going to spend it, but I'm not doing it for that. I'm doing it because I just want one place where people can go for, I call it real facts, no BS. Mm-hmm. There's so much noise out there and there's so much misinformation. And I'm like, how is this stuff not available on the internet? Like people Google, Gaggle, Yahoo, whatever they do, and you look up a term and there's so many entries now that nobody really knows which one to click. So I thought, okay, if I can just get them to my channel. And so it's good for realtors too. I do have several for investors. I've got 4 or 5. I'm going to expand that one, but I've got some simple ones on investing. So yeah, and I've actually got a webinar I think I did with Jason one time on some investing. Yeah, so I just try to put it all in one place so people can educate themselves and do whatever they're going to do.
All right, guys, so go check her out at loanwithjen.com. She's also on YouTube. Check her out, Loan with Jen there as well, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Thanks for hanging out with us, and we will be back. Hey guys, Robert here with Mr. Texas Real Estate. This is the Texas Real Estate Radio Network. I'm back again with Jenefer Hernandes from Legacy Mutual Mortgage, and it's loanwithjen.com, right?
Yeah.
I got that right?
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about investors, and I'm going to tell you who our folks are. And we've got about 40 or 50 that are in our mastermind and that come around. They're engineers. They're doctors, anesthesiologists, they're executives, marketing directors. Well, they've got a very good day job. And they're really not looking to quit their day job. That's not what they're looking for. What they understood is my 401k isn't going to give me the lifestyle I want when I retire. And they come to us, and we just talk about this little 10-house strategy. Let's just go get 10 houses, whether it's going to be with Fannie Mae or it's going to be with a fund or something like that. But let's go get 10, ride that appreciation up, and when the closer we get to retirement, sell half to pay for the other half, and then all of a sudden you've got 5 properties, maybe 10 doors, 5 duplexes, and you're throwing off $20,000 a month.
Yeah.
And that's a much, much better retirement than, welcome to Walmart. So that's our investor. That's who we work with. So if you can put your brain around that, it's for them, it's just going to be filling the bucket up. How much, the down payment, the 20% down, the 25% down.
Yeah, that's perfect.
That's what they need, and as a high net worth individual, they can usually do it every year. They can go out and buy another duplex, and if they're really good at saving and cash flowing, probably 2 properties a year. But over 5 years, that gives them 10. They're good to go.
Yeah, so that's actually for the Fannie Mae conventional loan. That's a perfect person with a day job, W-2. That's
good
perfect.
Day job. Yeah, great W-2. Usually most of them have high FICOs, over 740.
Love it. Yeah, and they have 401ks. Reserves, the biggest thing that we see that might disqualify people from the Fannie Mae stuff is you have to have reserves. So as you're accumulating the properties, any properties that you have in your personal name, not an LLC, that's a different.
Yep.
You've got to have 6 months PITIA, Principal Interest Tax Insurance Association, times for 6 months on all those properties.
Many, yeah.
So, as you start accumulating properties, it can get up there, especially if you're spending money to put capital 20-25% down in the properties. It starts to eat up your reserves, right? But there's some that have it, and it's fine. And
well, when we put our mastermind together, it's too hard if you don't have money.
Yeah.
It really is. And I know everyone out there wants to sell you $1,000 education program, how you can do it for no money, but it never works out. And the guy who stands up on the video and says, I did this with no money and blah, 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 he hit the lottery. Right? You might as well just go play the lottery because
it's a needle in a haystack.
Yeah, exactly. So we just said, hey, we want the individuals that are going to be successful quickly. And who are they? And it just came down to W-2 and FICO.
And are most of them, are they doing the private financing, or do they need Fannie Mae type stuff?
Well, mixture of both. Yep, some of both. Some went fast and strong, and then they went right into a portfolio loan. Yeah. And that was good at, 4.5%, 5%.
Yeah, it's not
fine.
bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
It's not bad.
But a lot of them, here's what I always tell them. Don't use them all up. Don't use all your Fannie Mae's up. Save at least one. Keep that ace in the hole, because at one point there's going to be a 4-unit that comes to you. It's going to be the perfect price. And if you can use your Fannie Mae on a 4-unit, holy cow, that thing is going to cash flow. So don't max it out all year one. You've got to be careful. Keep one in the bag, because we will come up with this 3-unit, right? We got a 3-unit in Richmond right now for $125,000. It's going to produce $2,800 gross rent.
That's awesome.
We'd love to get it at 4% interest, right? Versus one of these funds out there at 7 or 8%. And you keep that one in your bag. I always say just keep one in your pocket.
Yeah, those, just a quick overview. When it's 3 to 4 units, the 25 is the minimum down payment. You have to do 25. I'm telling everyone to do 25 anyway, because the point that we were talking about on a different segment another time, we were talking about points. On investment properties, it's almost like a forced points. There's really no points right now, because it just not happening.
Gotcha.
But there's less points with 25% down.
Sure.
So when I show the clients 20 versus 25 on a 1 to 2 unit, they're like, oh yeah, I'd rather pay that money towards principal than a bunch of points. And I'm like, exactly.
Yes.
Like we're talking some of them, depending on the credit score, turn out to be like 2.5 points. And I'm like, I think I'd rather see you do some principal. They're like, yeah. So
that's what we teach.
25%
25%.
Yeah, that's good.
And just, hey, for the next 5 years, man, don't take those European vacations, no cruises, and put the money in the bucket and go buy another property. And at the end of 5 years, we can take a look at your portfolio and figure out what to do there.
That's great.
So that's the investor stuff that we typically work on inside our group. Now we'll do the bigger stuff, or we'll do, Class C stuff down in Corpus, which, I mean, who wants to write a $46,000 mortgage, right? So that's the kind of stuff we run into down there. It's a challenge in that marketplace. But up here, again, Richmond, we're looking at stuff in Richmond. We're looking down in Lake Jackson and Freeport. It's all very affordable. The rents are going to be more than a 1% rule, so why not do it?
Yeah, is there a lot on those coastal towns? I would think, just especially after COVID, people just want R&R, and are there? I mean, the rental rates on the coast are good and strong.
Our Surfside Airbnbs this summer were off the charts.
Wow.
90% occupancy plus. We had one that we generated $10,000 in 1 month.
Wow.
On a $2,000 mortgage.
Wow.
Yeah, so
that's nice.
Yeah, people do want a little R&R. They want to get away. They're looking for a little more land there. But we didn't see the big exodus here out of the inner city like they did in New York City. And, I dumped my New Jersey portfolio. I had a couple properties left over up there, and I sold them all because people were leaving Manhattan and the Bronx and Brooklyn. I sold one to Brooklyn and one to Staten Island family, and I got top dollar for it. Bidding and all that other good stuff. Over ask, and I got the appraisal exemption, didn't have to appraise. It was all good. Right time. But I don't think we saw that here in Houston. I don't think we saw a lot of people running out of, the Galleria?
No.
Wasn't? No.
No.
That's what happened in L.A. That's what happened in New York City. That's what happened in Chicago. So I think a lot of times when you hear them coming from San Francisco, L.A., Chicago, I think that's part of the exodus.
Yeah. No, people are maybe moving out to a little bit more land out in the burbs, but I think for the most part, I mean, we still do inner city stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Well, any last bit of advice? We got about 30 seconds here.
No, just if the Fannie Mae stuff, the big things to remember is can't do it in the name of an LLC. It has to be your human entity. Later you can transfer it over, but 10 properties, keep your FICO above 740. That's the best pricing, 25% down and 6 months PITI reserves, and you're golden.
Fantastic. Jenefer, thank you so very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Guys, this is Robert with Texas Real Estate Radio Network. We will be back, and then we're done for the night. Thanks.